Hello, everybody. I'm Brett Tidwell, and today we're going to be discussing a bit of a technology resource review regarding distractions, disinterest, ADHD, and overall participation in virtual classrooms. And let's get started. So, this review is actually going to be in conversation with Emelina Monero's 8 strategies to improve participation in your virtual classroom. As the name suggests in Monero's article, she's just providing educators with some strategies and tactics to help students be more engaged in the lecture material, the course content, and I think this is really something that's very important, especially in the virtual space that we're seeing becoming more popular after the COVID-19 pandemic. It's something I struggle with personally. You may be distracted from this presentation right now. It's just, it's the way it goes, but there are ways that educators can overcome these barriers. So let's move forward. So as I stated before, ever since the pandemic, we've been really not only in the education environment, but also in the corporate space. We've been seeing a switch to virtual classrooms or collaboration softwares. And as I also said earlier, it's easy to get distracted. When you're not in a physical classroom, you don't have someone's eyes to look into and someone's, actual voice to hear, not through a microphone. It's easy to get lost, it's easy to stare off into space or, look at your phone. So the general idea of the strategies that Monero introduces in the article are really to make the virtual space seem as real as possible. Some of the ways that she suggests are like group discussions, virtual gallery walks, and more. My personal favorite, or what I think is one of the best ways to overcome these distractions, is to use the breakout room function. Basically, it just splits up the massive Zoom or WebEx meeting or what have you into little groups where students can individually collaborate. I think this is a great way to make learning a little bit more interactive. So let's move forward and see a little bit more here. Another way to keep students engaged: virtual show and tell, online discussion boards, basically any way to make the virtual learning experience seem more real is going to be beneficial, and you're going to see improved performance. So some of the pros here of these strategies that Monero introduced, like I said earlier, keeping students engaged. It's easy to integrate through most virtual meeting platforms. These breakout rooms, they're already built-in function, and they're cost-effective. They're usually free. Some of the softwares like Microsoft Teams is paid, but they're institutional pricing packages. And these things can just keep students more engaged, help them overcome shyness or being introverted. And those are the pros. In terms of cons, we have seen some issues with students not having internet access. Sometimes if there are not as many instructors that can monitor the breakout rooms, some students can go off topic and, kind of in an attempt to diminish distractions, introduce another. And the teacher may not be monitoring the chat closely. So these are just some things to keep in mind, but I definitely believe that the pros outweigh the cons here. So moving on, we're going to talk about social constructivism and how that correlates with the virtual classroom. These breakout discussions and online discussion boards, they are facilitated by virtual meeting softwares. And to have students utilize these softwares and actively participate in their own learning, it really is the cornerstone of constructivist learning. It's quite literally, by definition, social constructivist learning. They are being social and they are together developing their own knowledge through virtual discussions, and I really think that's priceless. This quote that I've included here by Ertmer Newby also just echoes exactly what I've just said. So we're going to look specifically at a marginalized group that definitely struggles even more in the virtual learning space, and that is students with ADHD. Um, Learning from home when you have ADHD makes learning so much harder. Any minor distraction, whether it's a dog barking or a little brother or sister walks into the room, for someone with ADHD, this can completely remove them from the learning process. Um, and some people with ADHD don't even know they have it. So this problem, I think, is going to be more widespread than most people would initially believe. So some of the possible benefits, specifically for those with ADHD, of these virtual collaboration softwares and breakout rooms are going to be improved attention. You're going to see students actually engaged in their learning, and they're going to be less susceptible to distractions. Also, you're going to see some friendship, focus, improvements in retention, understanding, application. All of these benefits that you would see in a physical classroom that we lose to the virtual switch we're gonna see those start to undo themselves, and that's just gonna lead to better academic performance and really just a better attitude towards learning. Kids are gonna be more excited to learn together than to just sit in their room alone watching a teacher present on a screen. It's just adapting with the times. Some of the challenges, as I said earlier, we see internet connectivity issues all the time. You know, some folks don't have the fastest internet. They don't have internet at all. They might not have a high enough processing power computer. So these are some things to keep in mind. Like I said earlier, also there is some cost associated implementing some of these softwares, namely Microsoft 365. But like I said as well, there are some institutional pricing packages that could ease that financial stress a little bit. Some students just plain get distracted by their phones, especially in the college setting. It's not the fault of the instructor. It's not, really anybody's fault but the phone. And that's just something that we need to work around. That's just, this generation, it's just inevitable. But it is one of the challenges associated with this type of teaching. And kind of going hand in hand with that, it's how can we tailor the course content to keep students interested? How can we keep them off their phones as much as possible? And I really do think that, honestly, virtual collaboration softwares, is one of the best ways to do this. So I've listed a couple of strategies below here that I've organized into a table for just easy viewing. And we're going to go over how we can overcome some of these barriers and actually how we can leverage some of these opportunities to increase student performance even further. So some of the barriers that we're going to face and some of the ways that we can overcome these are going to be encouraging students to eliminate extra noise. Like I said, tailoring the learning content to fit the bill for virtual collaboration softwares is going to be huge. Encouraging giving feedback, peer reviews, things like that, and also seeking student feedback, taking note of what they like, what they don't like, and how can that help us tailor their education better in the future. Some opportunities, I said this a number of times, institutional pricing packages, investing in high-speed internet and good hardware to give to these students. That on the student end of things is going to ease their issues. And then one of the opportunities we as educators can take advantage of are going to be maybe like professional development workshops. How do we further educate these teachers how to navigate the virtual classroom? It's a new thing for all of us. So some of the discussion questions that I urge you to consider are maybe what other marginalized learning groups could benefit from virtual collaborative learning systems. It's not just students with ADHD. It could be students with financial issues and what have you. So take a moment to think about that. Also, what other ed tech tools might be useful for students with ADHD? Is there another software that I haven't mentioned that might be great? Please let me know. And finally, what kind of virtual collaboration do you like the best? I mean, we've all been students either now or before. And have I missed any softwares? Do you think that maybe they might benefit those with ADHD? Let me know. I'm curious. So in conclusion, just to wrap things up, I want to say thank you for your attention. Hopefully you didn't get too distracted during this presentation. Like I said, this is a widespread issue. We're in the virtual / hybrid realm post COVID, life, and it's important to eliminate these distractions, stimulate learning, keep people, especially those with ADHD, focused and bettering themselves as we better ourselves as educators as well. Thank you very much.